But, like, here's what I look at and I go, they weren't going to beat that team. That team toyed with them. Anything they wanted to do, they did. So they were going to have to, and people are doing the math. Well, if we would have scored a touchdown here, we would have scored a touchdown here, we would have come out with more points to them. Guess what? They would have scored another touchdown to beat you. But the bottom line is you didn't score those touchdowns in those three situations because you're not ready to score those touchdowns. I take a realistic view on yesterday's game. Tyrone, you watched the game. Are you of the mindset that they could have won that game?
No, they couldn't win the game because the defense right now is terrible.
Yes.
It's the worst I've seen in this city personally I've ever seen. Now, there are people out there that think, because they don't give up a bunch of big plays, which the stats say, that this defense is acceptable and it's just the players, which is okay, except then, so that means I'm not allowed to notice that they give up 35 of their own and then they come back and give up 42. Like, I'm not supposed to notice that they do that. So I don't buy into the whole you can't judge. All I can judge is what I see. And what I see from this defense, I see an offense that I saw an up. Only thing I needed from the offense was I had only seen down. I signed up for ups and downs. I got an up. So fine on the offense. Like, on the defensive side, though, there are no ups. There's nothing good. And that Darius Slay is out of his mind on social media whining as if we didn't recognize that we weren't supposed to notice that they gave up 42 points on defense and it could have been more. No, if you give up 42, you can't say you should have won. Period. Even with all those mistakes. If you give up 42, you're not supposed to have to score 45 to win a game.
Here's the question on the defense, because you're absolutely right. It's really ridiculous. So the question is about Jonathan Gannon. Is there any way for Jonathan Gannon to trick up this defense to the point where they could be effective, or do they just flat out don't have the personnel? And I look at their personnel, I go, they're not good. Their personnel, their linebackers are not good.
No.
Their defensive line has been not great.
Correct.
And certainly in the middle, Fletcher Cox has been invisible.
Correct.
But their defensive ends make two bonehead mistakes yesterday. And then the safeties, I'm going, they have no personnel on defense.
That's fine. And it could be, he could be great, and it could just be the personnel. He only brought extra rushers twice. Now, I understand you don't want to just blitz Mahomes nonstop. But if you're giving up a touchdown every single possession, playing it straight up, a well-timed third down blitz, I'm not talking about blitzing all the time, might be what you need to get a stop. My issue with him is so far is he just runs his base. It doesn't work, and we're supposed to say, the players stink. That very well may be true, but he has to do something.
No, you're right
score
about
every
that.
time they had the ball.
You're right, and here's the thing about Jonathan Gannon. I think he's afraid to get burned. He's a new defensive coordinator. He's trying to earn some stripes here. He would rather be that than to get burned with big plays so people make those stand out and go, this guy can't coach at all. I think both guys right now, the head coach and the defensive coordinator, are a little too afraid to look bad.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, because if you're going to give up, Dallas ran it down their throats. He kept those two high safeties the whole game, never changed. Now, the Chiefs, they did get the interception, but other than the interception they got, which was the first interception, by the way, of the year in 4 games, and the corners and the safeties have 0. The only team left, by the way, where their corners and safeties have no interceptions, they're the only team left. But he also was asking them to just lay back all the time. And if they're going to score every possession, I understand if they had kept the Chiefs to even 31. I'd say, you know what? He kept them in the game. 42 points. And you go, my takeaway is supposed to be, the coach did a hell of a job. I can't go there. There are people doing that. I can't do that. If you give up a touchdown every time they touch it.
5-5 in the red zone over the Chiefs. 9-10 on first down. And the thing about that is the first downs weren't long conversions. They had one, I think, conversion 7 yards or more, and the other one was intercepted. But for the most part, they're going 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and they're easy conversions for the Chiefs.
And that's where if you blitz, I'm talking about once a quarter. How about 4 times you bring instead of 2? Maybe the guy throws and you get 2nd and 10, and you get a 3rd and 7 like you just said. It's disturbing to me how different the team was. Where the offense, I came away thinking, man, Smith, that was overall a big step-up game. Hurts, big step-up game for the quarterback.
Absolutely.
Gainwell looks good.
Yep.
Goddard looks like he's earning himself some money, playing well. The offensive line with 4 new guys, relative to that, played pretty well. And on the defense, everything terrible. That's still
so this is what they are, man. They're not a very good team. And I'm hoping that by the end of the year they can be decent. But, there's a lot of L's on the schedule with this kind of defense and this kind of growing pains with the head coach and little things like that. And we can go through all of them. You watched the same game. Jen, I know you looked at this game. We neither of us thought that they could win the game.
No.
Well, what was your assessment of the end product?
Well, I was glad to see that the offense looked much better than Monday night. And I feel like the past couple of weeks we were always questioning what is the identity of the offense? And now I think that is completely switched, and it's like, okay, well, now what is the identity of the defense? Because it was so terrible yesterday. But like Tyrone said, I was happy to see that the game plan was good from Sirianni, I thought, and Jalen Hurts looked really, really sharp, and it was not a regression. I feel like we took a couple offensive steps forward, which is good. I'm okay with the loss. As long as we keep taking some steps forward instead of backwards.
Yeah. He looked really sharp.
Relative to him.
Minus points for clear touchdowns that he missed.
Well, he missed the Ertz one. He's too wide on the Ward one, and then the play calling got bad after that. So that for sure. But relative to him,
yes.
I can't. Mahomes was 80% yesterday.
Yeah.
And the stuff he's doing side, I can't. I'm judging on a different scale. Relative to him, he was razor sharp in comparison to how it's been the previous 2
No question.
weeks.
The short throws, the RPOs, that's what he can do.
Yes.
Now, can that last? Well, we talked about it game 1. Could it last? I don't know.
Keep
Can they
doing it.
win like this every week? Maybe they can't win, but that's the best offense they're going to put out there.
Right, and Devontae Smith, that was big. He had his worst game, a short season so far, but of the first 3, that last game, he was really beat physically against Dallas. Short week, he comes back, and he shows up. Now, the Chiefs' defense, not good, but it was impressive to see him bounce back. He admitted after the game he has to hold the line and not get pushed out of bounds there.
Yeah.
That's some other stuff where when you have so many, all the receivers they have are young other than Ward. Their main 3 are young guys. So, unfortunately, the mistakes are still being made from those young guys, Rager, him, and Quez.
Yeah. And listen, they got to be better coached because a guy downfield, a guy on a pick play, those are little coaching things. When you practice those plays, you make sure they're coached the right way. And so that's been, Arthega-Whiteside should know better, but he doesn't know better because he's not coached to be better in that spot.
Well, I think that some of that's him. I personally would cut him today. Not so much just because of one mistake. It's more like somebody has to be the fall guy. You're talking about being tough. I know he doesn't have a future. I'm not cutting Dillard.
Yeah.
First of all, Dillard didn't play a terrible game. Made some mistakes, but he wasn't awful like I thought he might be coming back for the second week. And they can't afford. They don't have enough guys. Lane Johnson was just out. You can't cut him. You can't punish anybody else. Arthega-Whiteside has no future in the NFL. I would move that along. His contract's guaranteed. He won't miss a check. I'd say thanks so much. That pick play that people were defending was a terrible play. He'd even fake like he was running around, and he went above the shoulders.
It's an easy play to execute for your wide receiver. All you have to do is not that.
Right, just fake like you're running. Right.
Well, it's mind-boggling to me.
And people,
the guy went to Stanford for crying out loud.
And there are people in there, how dare you say that was a penalty? I go, because it was. He extended his arms. It's above the shoulders.
I read the same thing. That's just being a homer. I mean, he got his arm right up in the guy's. You can't do that.
Above the shoulders?
It's clear.
Extended,
it's
they're
a clear
going to call
penalty.